What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL Week 11 video with your boy. This is the final look breakdown video. We go position by position and pretty much talk about the like 5 or 6 guys that we have in play, like the core little group of guys that I'm interested in playing that is in my player pool for this week and that you guys should have in your player pool as well. And then, give you a little deeper look into the slate than we did earlier in the week. And earlier in the week, we do the first look lineup build where we pretty much just talk about the guys that we put in the lineup and then we move on. After all weeks of information, we come back and we do kind of more of a deeper breakdown position by position. So I'm going to go position by position and talk about the guys that are in my player pool that I'm the most interested in and why, and then send you guys on your way. I'm going to try to make this video as short and sweet as we possibly can. I'm not going to talk about every single player at every single position. I'm just going to talk about the guys I have the most interest in. So starting off at quarterback, I'm going to start this off with Cam Newton because he's got the same name as me. Plain and simple. Cam Newton is in a fantastic spot here. Like I said earlier on in the week, this dude is hyped up, man. He's going to give you a floor with his feet. He finds a way to get in the end zone when he gets into the red zone too. So he's got so many weapons here with DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. Like he's got some. Robbie Anderson is a solid weapon as well. So he's got some solid weapons for him here. I really like him here at home in Carolina in a great matchup against Washington. I just really feel good about Cam Newton. I probably don't have to explain why too much to you guys. I'm sure you pretty much understand, but yeah, I really like Cam Newton. Another guy that I like this week is Dak Prescott going against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs secondary is not good, as well as this game is looking like it's probably going to be a shootout. And anytime there's a shootout, Dak Prescott's going to be a fantastic spot here. I wish he was at home in Dallas, but honestly, any game Dallas plays, they're home teams because, I mean, Dallas fans seem to go everywhere and they seem to be everywhere. And it's pretty much a home game anywhere they go. But you would prefer in a dome in Dallas for sure. But plain and simple, this game is not going to be one of those games I feel like Dallas is going to be able to just sit back and run the ball a ton. I think that it's going to be more of a shootout type of matchup here, and I really like Dak here in that situation. Dak is priced 7-2 when you do have options like a Cam Newton in the 5Ks, like a Derek Carr in the 5Ks, like a Tua in the 5Ks, like a Jimmy G, and we're going to talk about all these dudes. But yeah, that's the only down part about Prescott is we have a lot of cheap guys this week that are in great spots, all right? Speaking of those cheap guys, let's go ahead and keep it going. Derek Carr feels really solid to me here. At only 5'9", he feels like a guy who can definitely get me that 20, and this week might be all that I need. Great matchup against Cincinnati that gave up over 31 to Mike White. So, I mean, come on. Like, do I need to say more? Derek Carr is at home. He's got good weapons as well. Hunter Renfrow is solid. Obviously, you've got Ruggs out, so that's a bump to Renfrow. So gives you more of a reason to play Renfrow. Gives you a good little pairing. You guys know how I always feel about it. Like, if the game's a good stack environment, that's one thing that really sides me to a quarterback as well. And Derek Carr is a guy that I like because you can pair him with Waller. You can pair him with Renfrow. You got some good options you can pair him with. And then on the other side, on the Cincinnati side, you have guys like Jamar Chase. You've got guys like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. You've got these guys that you can also run it back with. So this game in general is a good little environment to get in exposure to. And I'm definitely interested in Derek Carr for sure. I like Carr. Next up, back to a spend up. I'm going to go Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is a guy who might possibly fly under the radar this week because this Dallas defense has been not too bad. But Patrick Mahomes looked damn close to the old Patrick Mahomes last week, and if he's starting to get his stuff straight and he's going to ball out, then this is a spot for him here. I mean, he threw for 406 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Raiders week 10. That looked like the old Patty Mahomes, and he's only 7'6". That's another issue with Dak, is you're getting Pat Mahomes for only 400 more. So, yeah, I really love Pat Mahomes this week. He's a guy that I could see smashing value, and his price just seems a little too cheap for me here, especially with him getting his stuff together. So, I really like Pat Mahomes, and obviously his targets are amazing, and obviously this game has great run back potential and all that type of stuff. So, I like Patty. All right. Next up, another cheap guy I mentioned earlier, Tua Tagovailoa. Tua is a guy who's, he's not going to blow you away, but he's a guy who can consistently get you 15 or more. And like I said, this slate might be one of those that's all you could really need. I mean, look at his performances this week. 17 week 1 against New England. Then he was hurt. He came back week 6, got 25. Week 7 got 28. Week 8 got 16 against a really good Buffalo defense. And then missed week 9 against Houston. And then came back against Baltimore, a tough defense, and got 12 when he didn't even start in that game. So Tua's just been a consistent contributor, man. The Jets' secondary has been one of the worst in the entire league. So Tua's a guy I definitely have interest in as well at 5.5. There's a lot of those guys, man. Speaking of that, Jimmy G, man. Jimmy G sticks out to me as well. Jimmy G's going against Jacksonville. Great spot here. Last 3 games, Jimmy G has looked great. It's a solid matchup here against Jacksonville, a team that did give up over 25 to Tua. Gave up almost 23 to Geno Smith. Jimmy G's got some good targets, man. Plain and simple. Deebo Samuel's a stud. George Kittle's back, so he's got some weapons in this offense. And at 5.6, I really like Jimmy Garoppolo here in this game. And that's about it with my core. Those are the core guys that I'm really interested in. If you have the money and you want to spend up more, Josh Allen, sure. I think this game can end up being pretty good. You can, but there's just so many options this week that I don't necessarily think you really need to. All right, running back. Starting off at the top, obviously, A.J. Dillon is a guy I have a lot of interest in. Obviously, our boy Aaron Jones is out. A.J. Dillon's going to be a fantastic play. He is going to be a stud here in this matchup. Great, solid matchup in general. I have some interest in Green Bay in general here in this matchup, and I really like A.J. Dillon at 6.2. Christian McCaffrey is a guy who, I mean, goodness gracious, it was great to see him get 10 targets in the pass game last week. He didn't get a ton of carries on the ground, but that's really not what you really play Christian McCaffrey for anyways. I mean, you're going to expect the 15 carries or so here against Washington, but you're also going to get the 9 to 10 targets, and especially with Cam Newton, quarterback who can't really get it too much downfield right now at this point in his career. A lot of little dump-offs to McCaffrey, I could definitely see that happening. So McCaffrey's a very solid option. James Conner is a guy that I really, really like again this week against Seattle. He's just a solid option, man. You've got Edmonds still out, so James Conner's just, I mean, come on. Obviously, he's going to be a workhorse guy. He's going to get a good amount of touches in this offense. I know he didn't do fantastic against Carolina, and it came down to the end with him getting in the end zone doing solid, but this is a great matchup here against Seattle, who gave up almost 37 to Alvin Kamara, over 24 to Najee Harris. I mean, yes, those guys are studs, but James Conner's a stud here with no Edmonds, so Conner's a guy I'm willing to go right back to. Myles Gaskin's a guy I wouldn't mind pairing with Tua. Gaskin's in a solid spot here against the Jets, man. This Jets run defense is bad. Gaskin did only get 5 last week against Baltimore, which is pathetic, but he seems to get more involved with Tua healthy. So I'm expecting a big game here for Myles Gaskin against the Jets. I think this is a solid spot for him. I think they're going to be up most of this game as well. Maybe. It's hard to predict that because both these teams aren't very good. But Myles Gaskin's in a solid spot here, plain and simple. He's a guy that really sticks out to me. Jonathan Taylor, how can you not talk about him? I mean, the matchup is tough against the Bills, and I'm not going to have a ton of them. But in GPP, you got to consider it. All right, Jonathan Taylor's been the best running back in the entire league this year. The dude's been a beast. Ever since week 4, he hasn't gotten under 20 Draftkings points. He's been absolutely smashing. All right, Buffalo did just give up over 18 to Michael Carter week 10. All right, they did give up that 38 to Derrick Henry week 6. So Jonathan Taylor could go off. A lot of people are going to fade it because it's Buffalo. But, yeah, in GPP, it's solid. I just wanted to mention him for sure. Probably won't play him a ton in cash, honestly, but GPP is interesting because he should have low ownership. Dalvin Cook is a guy I'm interested in as well because I have interest in the Green Bay side. Got to love the run back of Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's 8.2. Solid spot here in this spot, man. He's just a workhorse back, plain and simple. And he's going to get some targets in the pass game. So Dalvin Cook's a fantastic spot here. Back to Mark Ingram. Almost said Melvin Ingram. That's a linebacker. Mark Ingram in a great spot once again if Alvin Kamara does miss. Keep an eye on that situation. Kamara has not yet practiced, though. So that is not looking good for Kamara to play. Mark Ingram is definitely in play here in this matchup. Love Mark Ingram once again at 5.4. His price just didn't really adjust. All right, and that's about it for running backs. We're going through this smooth today. Really trying to keep it zoned into the core and the player pool that I have for this week. Devonte Adams at the top of my list here. Minnesota's one of the worst secondaries in the league. I mean, tell me who's going to stop him. Cam Dantzler? No, thank you. Okay, nobody's gonna stop Devonte here. He's gonna have a huge game. He hasn't gotten in the end zone the last couple games. I'm expecting him to get in the end zone on top of his over 100 receiving yards here. 10 something targets, you know what I mean? So I love Devonte Adams against Minnesota here, and I also think Minnesota keeps it close, so it remains a shootout. I love Devonte. Take Aaron Jones out, probably gets a little bit of a bump as well, so we'll see. But Devonte Adams is solid. When it comes to a value, I still like Rashad Bateman. Keep an eye on it though. He has been questionable with an illness, but I'm expecting him to play. Bateman, if you need a value at 4 or 5, he's fine. There's not a ton of value at receiver that I love though, and I'll talk about a few of them. But there's not a ton of value, so I really prefer the spend up route. Deebo Samuel is a fantastic spot as well, especially if you're playing Jimmy G. Debo's just been an absolute monster. He's got some, like, he has one of the highest upsides of any receiver in the league right now. Like, he is balling. So Deebo Samuel's got to be talked about. I love Deebo, and I'm not too worried about the questionable tag. He'll be all right. Brandon Cooks with Tyrod Taylor back is going to be one of the highest targeted receivers in the entire league. This is a good spot, good matchup against Tennessee where they should be behind, and a lot of throwing as well, so love him. At a good price. I talked about so I only have a few like value-ish plays that I like, and T. Higgins is one of them. Plain and simple, T. Higgins is just really consistent, man. 13, 13, 13 last 3 weeks, so I'm pretty sure you can safely consider him as a 13 here. And at 5-4, I'll take it, honestly. And against this Raiders secondary in a game that should be a shootout here, I think Las Vegas keeps it close at home in Las Vegas. I really like this spot for T. Higgins, man. He just consistently gets targets in this offense, including like some games where he gets a ton of targets, like 15 targets he got against Baltimore week 7. T. Higgins is a solid option. If you're playing Tua, then obviously you can throw Waddle with him as well. Waddle's another guy who gets targeted pretty damn well as well. Let's see, anybody else? Yeah, let's talk about Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson being back is only good news for Tyler Lockett, man. He's going to have a big game here soon. And at only 6K, I'd love for some of y'all to be on Tyler Lockett when he smashes. Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins still isn't playing. He still hasn't been practicing, so he's leaning towards probably missing again. And Christian Kirk is going to be the #1 receiver for this Arizona offense. And if Kyler Murray can get back, that's going to be huge news for Christian Kirk. Hunter Renfrow, if you are playing Derek Carr, Hunter Renfrow's in a fantastic spot here, pairing him up with. I mentioned him when I mentioned Derek Carr. If you're playing Derek Carr, Renfrow is a solid pairing, as well as Darren Waller. So both of those guys are definitely in play for me. And that's about the core for my receivers as well. Let's switch over to tight end. At tight end, I got about 4 or 5 guys I have some interest in. George Kittle being #1 at 6'3". Really like him in this matchup here, especially if I'm playing Jimmy G. Obviously, I love the pairing. I think Travis Kelce's going to have a big game here. Obviously, you got to love Travis Kelce, man. Solid spot. He's had a couple down games, but this is a great spot for him. Dropped 22. Looked like him and Mahomes kind of started clicking again in this last game. So 10 targets, 8 catches, 119 reception yards. Great spot for Kelce to continue that stretch here. Mike Gesicki, especially if you're playing Tua. Normally, when it comes to tight end, I either play like a cheap value guy, which I don't have a ton of those this week. I'm more interested in pairing my tight end up with the quarterback that I play this week. That's pretty much my game plan. So if I play Derek Carr, I'm obviously going Darren Waller. If I play Derek Carr, I'm going Darren Waller. If I play Tua, I'm going Gesicki. If I play Mahomes, I'm going Kelce. If I play Kittle, I'm going Jimmy G. If I go Schultz, I'm going Dak. And that's pretty much the combinations that I'm interested in. All right, so one more time. If I'm going Jimmy G, I'm going Kittle. If I'm going Mahomes, I'm going Kelce. If I'm going Tua, I'm going Gesicki. If I'm going Derek Carr, I'm going Waller. And if I'm going Dak, I'm going Schultz. All right? Plain and simple. At defense, there's only few defenses that I have interested in, and at the top of that list is probably going to be the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to predominantly play the Panthers this week because, plain and simple, they're 2-7. They're a solid defense. They're at home in Carolina, and they're kind of hyped up and rejuvenated with Cam Newton bringing that energy to the team. So really like this spot here. I think the crowd's going to be going nuts too. Carolina is really happy to have Cam back. Cam's energy he's bringing to this team in general is going to kind of raise the morale of the entire team. Really like this spot here for the Panthers defense at only 2-7. And I'm not going to talk about many other defenses, honestly. Let me see if there's anybody else. Yeah, man. I'm siding with the Panthers as my number one. I'm not really interested in trying to get cute or play many others, to be honest. You can play the Browns. You can play the Browns against Detroit, I guess, because Detroit's not very good. But outside of that, yeah, I'm spending for Carol. I'm spending down for Carolina and making other things work in my lineup. All right, so that was pretty short and sweet, man. The quickest one of the year, man. Just plain and simple. Because I mean, I was trying to keep it kind of a smaller player pool for you guys, and the guys I really have interest in, instead of just kind of going through, 8, 9 guys at each position. Really trying to keep it zoned down a little bit less as I can to give you guys a good little player pool on the guys I'm interested in. All right, and I was able to touch on all of them. Hopefully, you guys smash Week 11. I know we will. We have been dominating NFL. GreenlightDFS.com if you want to join the squad for NFL. By the way, MMA has been on an absolute tear. We won again last week. It has been fantastic. MMA, I believe, we're like 4 in a row or something like that. It's been amazing. So, really excited to keep that going for MMA as well. That will be tomorrow, so you can hit greenlightdfs.com for MMA. We also have college football, so if you're wanting to join for Week 11, if you're in a state that can play college football as well, get the package before college football tomorrow because you also get college football lines, and we smashed that last week as well. What else? Yeah, NBA for tonight. NBA is looking sexy. I did the NBA high five already. Go check that out. And that's about it, man. All right, thank you guys for joining me as always, and I'm out. Peace.